Alright, let's start with something a little unexpected. A bottle opener. Now I know what you're thinking. That's just a little piece of metal sitting in my kitchen drawer. But hold on, because the way this thing is made on a metal lathe, it's genuinely something special. We're watching a skilled machinist set up a CNC or manual metal lathe, a machine that's been the backbone of precision metalworking for over 150 years. The workpiece, usually a solid round bar of stainless steel or brass, gets locked into the chuck. That's the rotating clamp at the front of the lathe. Once it's spinning at the right RPM, the cutting tool moves in and starts shaving off material with incredible precision. First comes the rough turning, removing the bulk of excess metal to get close to the final shape. Then comes finished turning, where the machinist slows things down and takes fine, thin cuts to hit exact dimensions. We're talking tolerances within a few thousandths of an inch here, tighter than a human hair. Next, the grooving tool steps in. This is what creates that distinctive notch, the functional lip that catches under a bottle cap and pops it clean off. Getting the angle and depth exactly right here isn't just about looks, it's about leverage. Too shallow and it slips. Too deep and it stresses the metal. Then comes the parting off step. The cutting tool slices through the bar to free the finished piece. A quick trip to the deburring bench, maybe a light polish, and just like that, you've got a perfectly machined bottle opener. Today we're watching the production of a ring combination wrench, the kind of tool that mechanics, engineers, and tradespeople around the world trust with their lives. And the process starts not with cutting or grinding, but with forging. A precisely measured steel billet, made from chrome vanadium steel, known for its incredible strength and toughness, is heated in an industrial furnace to around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. At that temperature, steel becomes almost plastic, and that's exactly what the forging press needs. The hot billet is placed into a precision die, a hardened steel mold, and a hydraulic press slams down with thousands of tons of force, flowing the metal into the exact shape of the wrench. This isn't just shaping. After the initial press, the wrench goes through a trimming die to remove the flash, that thin fin of excess metal around the edges, and then into secondary forging to refine the ring openings. Heat treatment follows, hardening and tempering to dial in exactly the right hardness, tough enough not to crack, hard enough not to deform under torque. Then grinding, polishing, and quality inspection. Stallwheel doesn't just make tools, they make heirlooms. And watching this process, it's easy to understand why. Today, we're now stepping inside Saarschmiede GmbH Freiformschmiede, one of Europe's most respected heavy forging companies, located in Völklingen, Germany. And what they're making today is a generator shaft, one of the most critical components in large-scale power generation. We're not talking about something you hold in your hand. These shafts can weigh anywhere from 50 to over 300 metric tons, and they're the literal heartbeat of turbines that power entire cities. It all starts with an ingot, a massive block of high alloy steel that arrives at the forge as a rough, almost primitive-looking cylinder of raw metal. This ingot is first placed into a massive pit furnace and heated uniformly to around 200 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Uniform heating is critical. Any temperature gradient across a piece this large can create internal stress that compromises the entire shaft. Once at temperature, the ingot is moved by an overhead crane, and we're talking a crane rated for hundreds of tons, to the hydraulic forging press. Saarschmiede operates one of the most powerful open-die forging presses in the world, capable of delivering up to 17,000 metric tons of pressing force. Let that sink in. 17,000 metric tons. The forging process itself is a carefully choreographed dance between the press operator and the manipulator, a massive robotic arm that rotates, repositions, and feeds the workpiece into the press in precise increments. Each press stroke compresses and lengthens the ingot, working the internal grain structure to eliminate voids and porosity, microscopic gaps left over from the casting process. This is called open die forging, and the goal is to achieve a homogeneous, fully dense, defect-free material throughout. This process is repeated dozens of times, with the shaft being reheated between forging sequences to maintain workability. Slowly, the rough ingot transforms into a recognizable shaft, long, cylindrical, with step diameters along its length corresponding to different functional zones: the bearing journals, the coupling flanges, the main body. After forging comes rough machining on a massive horizontal lathe, a machine so large that technicians walk alongside the workpiece as it rotates. Here, the outer surfaces are turned down to near final dimensions, and critical reference surfaces are established for downstream operations. Then comes one of the most important steps: ultrasonic testing. Using high-frequency sound waves, inspectors scan the entire interior of the shaft, looking for any internal cracks, inclusions, or anomalies. This is non-destructive testing at its finest, and at this scale, it's absolutely non-negotiable. After passing inspection, the shaft goes through precision heat treatment, controlled heating and cooling cycles that develop the final mechanical properties required by the customer's engineering specification. Then back to the lathe for finish machining, where final dimensions are achieved to within fractions of a millimeter. The completed generator shaft will eventually find its home inside a power plant turbine, spinning at 500 or 3000 RPM continuously, day after day, year after year, sometimes for decades. That kind of reliability starts right here, on the forge floor at StarTech. Here's something you don't see every day: bending a pipe that's 400 millimeters in diameter. That's about 16 inches across. This isn't your weekend plumbing project. This is industrial pipe bending at full scale, and the machine doing the work is a mandrel pipe bender, one of the most precise pipe-forming machines in modern manufacturing. The pipe, typically heavy-wall carbon steel or stainless, is loaded onto the bender, and a mandrel, a specially shaped internal support, is inserted into the pipe to prevent the wall from collapsing or wrinkling during the bend. Without it, a pipe this size would kink like a garden hose. The bending die rotates, pulling the pipe around a precisely calculated radius. Clamp dies hold the pipe firmly in position while a pressure die pushes from behind, ensuring even force distribution throughout the bend. At 400 millimeters diameter, every aspect of this process must be precisely engineered: the bend radius, the wall thickness, the mandrel geometry. Even slight miscalculations lead to ovality or wall thinning that could cause failure in the field. The result: a perfectly curved section of large diameter pipe, ready for installation in a refinery, power plant, or heavy industrial system. Clean, precise, and built to last. We're inside the Merida bicycle manufacturing facility, watching the production of a carbon fiber bicycle frame. Merida, founded in Taiwan in 1972, has grown into one of the world's largest and most respected bicycle manufacturers. Their carbon frames are ridden by professional Tour de France teams, and the technology behind them is genuinely aerospace-level engineering. It all starts with carbon fiber sheets, thin, woven layers of carbon filament embedded in an epoxy resin matrix. These sheets arrive in rolls, stored in refrigerated rooms to keep the resin from curing prematurely. Each sheet is a composite of thousands of individual carbon strands, each strand thinner than a human hair yet stronger than steel by weight. The layup process begins. Trained technicians, working almost like tailors, cut precise shapes from the carbon sheets and hand-lay them into aluminum molds, one layer at a time. The orientation of each layer matters enormously. Fibers running at 0 degrees provide longitudinal stiffness. Fibers at 45 degrees add torsional resistance. A typical carbon frame tube requires anywhere from 10 to 30 individual layers, each placed with intentional direction. Internal bladders are placed inside the layup, inflatable tubes that will be pressurized during curing to push the carbon layers outward against the mold walls, ensuring a dense, void-free laminate. The mold is closed, and the assembly goes into a high-pressure autoclave oven, essentially a large industrial pressure cooker, where it's cured at controlled temperature and pressure for several hours. The heat activates the epoxy resin, bonding all the carbon layers into a single, unified composite structure. The pressure ensures the laminate is fully compacted with no air pockets. After curing, the mold is opened and the raw frame sections emerge. Strong, lightweight, and still rough around the edges. Skilled workers trim the flash, drill the cable routing holes, and sand the surfaces. Individual tubes and sections are bonded together using aerospace-grade structural adhesives. Then comes painting, quality inspection, and flex testing. Each frame is mechanically tested to verify it meets Merita's stiffness and fatigue standards before it ever sees a showroom floor.